Friday, the 12th of December, 2025, and I wanted to get a video out earlier. I've been looking through so much information and sharing a lot to some pretty influential figures, especially in Canadian politics, and just for some points of interest regarding power corporations, Build Canada Homes, and people who are involved in being like the largest liberal donors and have been for decades, and going down those rabbit holes. And so Mario for the North and Pat King and John from News Updates for Real, as well as a few others, I have sent a lot of information to. Well, not a lot of information, just like a rabbit hole to go down with a link to a tweet I'm going to show you. With some of my own observations I had already made regarding connections to people, part of the Bilderberg, Golden Sachs, for example. Anyways, I'm going to get into all that stuff, but the Bilderberg crew and their affiliates, and how I believe that they have infiltrated Western governments, and so we have a coup of the international banking, technocratic authoritarian types that have infiltrated. And so I've talked about J.D. Vance and his connections with Peter Thiel and Sam Altman, etc. I've talked about Mark Carney, and again, but you also have to look at the people that they also work around. And so for the Liberal Party, with the Power Corporation and Desmarais, there's been a lot of talk about this family now for years. They're a multi-billion-dollar family that live like between the Ontario and Quebec areas. Attended school, obviously, in this area. I think it's Lakefield High School for Paul Desmarais Jr., and which is a really good private school, actually, that people should take a look into. And I really do. I looked at the curriculum and I looked at what that school looked what it stood for and things like that. Very, very interesting. And I would like to actually see like a representation of that in public schools, although they have a lot of money invested in this school. And it's part of the just one second here. I'm already going on these tangents, like the round robin. What is it? Anyways, a connection of schools that were created out of Europe, and then expanded outwards to like first it started with 7 private schools, and then it's expanded outwards to at least 20 more that this academic institution is involved with, and where royalty actually also goes to these private schools, and Lakefield, which is in Ontario. We did that for 2 years, and there's other prominent people that have gone to this school as well. But anyway, before I get into that, I'm already behind on a few other things, and I've already given this information to people with some interesting donors and sponsors that are affiliated with these organizations. So who gives them money, and because they're giving money again to the Liberal Party, and they have been for many years, and what do they stand for? What values? What bias can they push? What agenda can they push because of all the influence they have because of their wealth, and go from there. But this was just absolutely disgusting, and I did want to talk about it. And this is from Viva, and he has great guests on. That's why I really like sharing his stuff. And it would be nice if Nick Fuentes and him actually talked. That would be an interesting conversation. But he gets on great guests, right? And he doesn't care about like controversy or any of that stuff. And so I really appreciate that, because we are not getting a lot of that in the free and mainstream media anymore. But anyway, this is regarding the Ostriches, just to set this up, and then just to show you just like how appalling Mark Carney actually can be. Godless, child transitioning, elitist banker type.
Ladies and gentlemen of the interweb.
And so even with the Desmarais, they have been high up and worked in high level positions within these elite groups that go to the meetings every single year. So the EU, Bilderberg, the Davos groups, WEF, World Health Organization, they are literally involved in all of this stuff. And the biodigital convergence piece as well. And
You are staring at the globalist 3-passport carrying whore, the member of the WEF, Bilderberg, NGO, New World Government, Mark J. Carney. I thought long and hard before starting the show, do I do it in my intro golf voice to make fun? Or do I do it in a serious voice because I'm actually seething with rage? I have opted for the latter. No, sorry, the former. We will begin with humor, because at some point in time, if you do not laugh, all there is to do is cry or scream at the clouds in seething hot rage. Behold.
There have been a few surprises during my first months as Prime Minister. For example, I hadn't expected to spend so much time dealing with wildlife. Belugas, ostriches, premiers, except for present company accepted, obviously. Actually, there is no need for a mass cull because the premiers and I are uniting around projects that will diversify our trade, unlock billions in new investment, create hundreds of thousands of high paying.
Just like this hour has 22 minutes. He's doing the same thing. He's this is by design. This is intentional, providing humor. It's like rage bait. Like this is a way to just like diffuse what they actually did, and it with humor, despite the fact that it's disgusting to do. It's in poor taste, and they're just doing it to try to again keep the liberals in the spotlight as these amazing amazing political party with this like amazing banker type. Absolutely could not be further from the truth. What a disgusting joke at the expense, and again at the expense of human life. It will sacrifice at the expense of these ostriches. This culling, and again, this has been politicized, and it tends to be a two-tiered justice system and how they respond to people's suffering. And he's made it abundantly clear that he's willing to even laugh at the expense of, anyway, Canadians that actually are still looking for accountability, obviously through the courts, the legal system. This needs to be government-led because people do not trust people in government anymore. Why? Because of this. You're allowing people to do a soft coup within our House of Commons, and there's been another floor crosser. So one more seat, one more position, the Liberals get a majority government, and all these bills and policies and measures and everything that they want to put in place to further hollow out the middle class and the industrial sectors, etc. Closer and closer.
Careers. Whereas the National Post headline put it, Mark Carney fast tracks the road to serfdom. I mean, you can't buy that kind of support, even if we do fund it. It's true, Conrad. It's true.
Same joke as Trudeau.
This is quite literally the exact same joke that Justin Trudeau made. I'll see if I can pull that one up in a second. We're going to let this play out. Then we're going to play it again only for the first 30 seconds.
Just the facts. Helen's here. It's got to be right. I've got to. Now, speaking of taxpayer-funded purveyors of post-apocalyptic dystopia, Yves-François Blanchet and the block are in the house.
Like I try to laugh, and I try to laugh at everything, especially that which I cannot change. Rage. These people are the worst people on earth. They literally laugh at your misery. I'm going to play the first part of this again because I listened to this and I'm like, did I misunderstand something? Like everybody sort of hung up on he's making a joke about the slaughter of the ostriches. He's laughing at other people's misery, literally. And I heard something a little bit not even different in addition to laughing at the tyrannical misery inflicted by that authoritarian terrorist government, the Liberal government of Canada.
There have been a few surprises during my first months as Prime Minister. For example, I hadn't expected to spend so much time dealing with wildlife. Belugas, ostriches, premiers. Except for present company accepted, obviously.
Premiers.
Actually, there is no need for a mass cull.
Do you understand what he's talking about here?
Because the premiers and I are uniting around projects that will diversify our trade, unlock billions in new investment.
I'm going to pause it right there. So I'm going to leave this open. You got to share this and put this on blast. Laughing at the slaughter of the ostriches. Isn't that funny? And then he says, premiers. But there will be no need for a cull in respect of the premiers. I'm thinking like, I must be going crazy. Like there's no way that would be part of the joke. Oh, there's no need to mass kill the premiers. Present company excluded, of course, because we kill ours the last. It's not a question of when they're up against the wall. It's just a question of our allies being the last up against the wall when we decide that they're now adversaries. He literally said premiers as part of the wildlife, but there's no need for a cull because we're in ideological alignment on whatever the hell issue he was talking about. Translation, we'll kill parliamentarians, premiers, if they're not in alignment with our political plans. Someone put out, I remember seeing it back in the moments after the slaughter. I don't know if it was this particular account, but many people were echoing a very similar sentiment. What they did to the ostriches, they wanted to do to the unvaxxed 5 years ago. They are salivating at another chance. And that is from the architect at the MARCITE.
A lot of people wanted me to die.
I'm not putting this account on blast. Let me see here. Hitting the midlife crisis just as the world is going to shit is confusing. I don't know if I should get pregnant or buy a new Corvette. That's funny. I remember tweets like this at the time. They wanted to do to the unvaxxed what they did to the ostriches, and if they get another chance, they will do it. And I remember people saying, no, that's crazy hyperbole. This is why they're all crazy. The far-right extremists, the anti-vaxxers, the anti-science. Oh, how dare they say such a... You literally just had Mark J. Carney, 3 passport-carrying globalist WEF whore, joking about the slaughter, because it's funny after all. Killing innocent, healthy animals is funny after all. And then making the joke that he's been dealing with wildlife, belugas, ostriches, premiers. But there's no need for a cull because right now we're in alignment. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it. Or maybe I'm not. Maybe they're actually joking about the seriousness of what they would do if they had...
He transed his child as a 14 years old or something like that. Before the age of 18, took her to Tavistock, disgraced transition clinic that was shut down a few years ago. He sent her to that to be mutilated. And who knows what else with who knows? And again, it's not our business, but again, like, this is the leader of our country, a godless Marxist that even people that's part of the NDP, the interim leader, Don Davies, saying that he's apparently right, center right. He's a Marxist. And everything that he's putting in place, like, people are saying that it's conservative. It's not conservative. First of all, nothing about this guy is conservative at all. I can't even believe people are even trying to make that connection when he is a far left radical, right? And so even in 2025 with this Build Canada Homes, this is government-led housing, okay? Should not be happening. And they're going to be utilizing private companies within the area. The top 3, again, Mattamy, #1 on that friggin' list. And then there's other ones as well, but they're more for luxury homes and things like that. And so what's going to happen is the government's putting money into this. They're going to be owning these properties. And again, who's going to be going in them? Are these going to be people that hold Canadian values and culture and traditions and willing to assimilate to varying degrees within our country and speak the language, whether it be French or English as the 2 national languages, et cetera, et cetera. And we already have within the Ottawa area over almost 3,000 homes listed for sale and almost 3,000 homes listed for rent. So again, this is government should never own housing unless it has to do with government, right? And so I'm talking about infrastructure for people that are in the military or boarding institutions like RMC, the Royal Military College, right? Infrastructure because people are living on these campuses or within barracks or shacks or accommodations close to military bases or on military bases. And so those are, the exceptions, things like that, but not for civilians or people that work within government that are going to have desk jobs downtown Ottawa, etc. Again, this is not what it's for, and this has happened within communist regimes. Okay, so I'm talking about the censorship, which they're doing. Okay, this is not conservative. That's not a conservative thing with these bills and these policies to trans children. At the degrees they're doing and the pushing of this and the exploitation of children that have other underlying trauma or underlying health conditions, et cetera, and affirming mental illness. And I know this sounds controversial, and what I mean by that is it's in the DSM-5 and described as gender dysphoria. And so to affirm that would be the same thing as affirming things like anorexia, complex PTSD, which I am clinically diagnosed as well, 2008. And so for complex PTSD, you have to manage symptoms, manage triggers. This is something that has to be done on a regular basis and not, anyways. And so I hope people understand what I'm talking about with that. And then with the land grabs and with the carbon tax and the CBDCs with these carbon credit scores that they want to implement, that's already being rolled out. That's already been rolled out for a while in China and other areas like that. And again, this is we don't need this in Canada with the population we have. And we have Mark Wiseman with the Century 21 initiative I've talked about for years. This is not a good thing with this replacement migration. It's not sustainable. We don't have the infrastructure. And from 2015 upwards to now, since Trudeau got in, we have increased our population by at least 7 million people. And the large percentage of that is non-Canadians. And then again, people exploiting our social services, exploiting our asylum, refugee services, our social programs, etc. I'm not saying the majority, but a lot are. And they're going in areas, major areas, and expanding outwards and taking over, again, areas that, anyways, that's causing obviously a lot of conflict and issues and increase in crimes, etc., etc. And then even just in the last day or so, there was an elderly couple in Quebec that were just murdered, 88 years old, survived so much stuff in Quebec, and they got murdered by someone that was a 19-year-old woman that was a non-Canadian. And so again, not an engineer, respectfully speaking, murdered two elderly Canadians, 88 years old. And this is happening more and more. And I'm like, well, people voted for this. And people have been saying, like, for a very long time. And again, I've experienced this as well. When I was a single female living in areas that were getting where there was more like expanding of developments, community builds, and things like that, I had been stalked by people that were new to the area, and again, different cultures and things like that. Parking outside of my home, living streets away, blocks away. I knew where this guy lived, but again, this guy was a creep. Like even Fridays and Saturday nights, because my boyfriend at the time, I was in a relationship. He didn't live with me yet, so even with that, being a single female but having a partner who was a big, strong bodybuilder guy, that wasn't enough, right? So there was like one night, obviously, that he came over, and it was like 3 a.m. And this guy was parked right outside my goddamn house. And I was like, what if my ex wasn't there at the time? And so as soon as he got out of the vehicle, this guy like drove off like faster than you could ever even believe. And I'm like, that's the friggin' guy. And so many other cases like that as well. And so, but families and men don't experience the same level of tension within their communities as, again, like single women or elderly people, because we're the more exploited. People trying to break into my home, circling my block for hours, all things I filed police reports on, and nothing be done about that. And Tim Pool, I did share that there was a veteran that did contact local police within Tim Pool's jurisdiction, where his home is, or his compound, and said that there was no police report filed, allegedly. And I shared this video, and so apparently this guy has lied before. And I really get frustrated when people that have such a huge platform that are trolling other people, like Candace Owens, as hard as he is, and countless other people, that like he's likely lying or embellishing things that have happened to him, despite the fact that, again, he has security, he's in a compound, makes a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera. People like me who have been literally thrown to the wind, asking for security, asking for help and things like that, like never got it. And even when I was targeted, trying to share with law enforcement, and nothing done about it, and still have the proof. And again, it's two-tiered justice system. Do I agree? I'm going to stop this for a minute, actually, because I was going to talk about Erika Kirk and Candace Owens and what's going on with that, and Turning Point USA, etc. Really weird. And so even though Candace Owens has, she has caused, definitely like an escalation of targeted attacks against specific people within Turning Point USA and security, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She is, again, she's still trying to get to the truth. And she's not saying anything that's criminal. She's not saying anything that's illegal. She's not saying anything that's hate speech. She's not, again, and so she's just trying to find the truth. And so, like, again, the people are trying to censor her. Again, it should be free speech for everyone, regardless of how crazy some of these allegations or these tangents she goes on may seem. She does have a lot of good information still regarding this Charlie Kirk assassination. And so I don't think she should stop. And but a little bit more. But again, I can't say that because, like, she's a very successful human being and she's good at what she does. But again, some things that she says, like, it could, negatively impact people when it's undeserved or unwarranted in certain cases. But again, still look down at the financials. And she makes a lot of good points about motive, strong points about motive, and then looking into family background. So even with Erika Kirk, with her father working for Raytheon, like with his company, and so like basically involved in like the military industrial complex, and go down that rabbit hole, and so I'm just wondering, right? Like this happens, and again, I'm not saying this is true at all. I'm just like running through things in my head that it just seems like Erika Kirk, she has more forgiveness for Tyler Robinson, who, despite whoever duped him or radicalized him enough to be the fall guy. I do think that it was Tyler Robinson that did shoot Charlie Kirk. I do believe he's dead. All of that stuff. Look at my videos on that. And I said, though, without proof, you can't connect this to people that you want to connect it to, right? Like, you just can't do that because you're just reinforcing your own bias, and you're not going to be open to looking at the possibility that. Anyways, there's just other routes that you have to focus on. And so is there a possibility because of Charlie Kirk, he was looking at like auditing his company and his financials just this summer, apparently? That's very interesting. That's something that should be focused on. Is that true? And why? And was he refusing to get money from Netanyahu or Israel because because of the bias there, and him wanting to report the truth and only accept American funds? Very interesting how apparently after his murder, 150 million or whatever, like a large sum of money has been accepted by Turning Point USA, and again, it's possibly to reinforce a bias, a narrative that is like where there's a lot of propaganda in it. And so why is she trying to go after Candace, who is literally trying to figure out what the hell happened, unless you don't want her to find things that may possibly connect your friends or or people that you work with, and you want to keep on the grift and make money, and now you're saying that, oh, I'm the head of the company, this is my family. Literally, you just arrived, respectfully speaking, and you're like, anyway. So I don't want to slam anyone, because again, like Charlie Kirk, I do believe did die, and it is tragic, and so even if she was a honeypot type or not, right, like there's still like emotions and feelings involved, and it was the father of her children, and so just some very interesting connections to look at. There is motive. I will just say that. And large sums of money will make a lot of people turn, because even small amounts of money do make some people turn. And so she's talking about righteous anger and stuff like that, trying to make this about like her religion, make this a religious thing. Candace is religious too. Like she's been in the forefront. And again, I don't agree with things that like a lot of things that she has said about this thing, but who am I, right? And I did want to talk to her. I offered just with some things, like where rabbit holes were going down, where I do literally think that it's just like, focus on this, not this. And anyway, so much to look into. I did want to share a little bit more with Viva, but I just wanted to get that out of the way, because a lot of people are talking about Erika Kirk and Candace Owens and Tim Pool and all these people, like this feud that's going on, and Kim Iverson, etc. And it just seems like it's a goddamn mess. And this is not good for the conservatives, or the Republicans rather, in the U.S. And I don't think it would be Candace's fault if the conservatives didn't win, because she, again, I don't see how people can even try to accuse her of that. Like, again, it's just putting more of a target on her back, and she is a mother. Let's not forget that. A mother of many children. Anyway, and so is Erika. She's a mother, and it must be horrific for her children to see what's going. Well, I mean, obviously they don't understand what's going on at this point, to varying degrees, obviously. But anyway,
unchecked power.
The real victim.
Oh yeah, no, but then the media is being so hard on Mark J. Carney. Do you remember that? Do you remember that time? What's his face? Scumbag McGee, the other globalist whore, communist pig, Justin Trudeau at the time, made the exact same joke. And then they used it and said, oh no, he was just making fun of the fact that despite funding the media, they still criticize the government. Listen to this.
You sometimes hear about liberal bias in the media these days, how they're constantly letting our government off the hook for no good reason. Frankly, I think that's insulting. It's clear that they let us off the hook for a very good reason, because we paid them $600 million. You don't get stellar headlines like these without greasing the wheels a bit.
Now, pause it right here, because the fact checkers, the fake news wordsmiths of the devil at the time, were fact checking this and saying, oh no, because what Marty from up north, and I know him, he's a good guy, didn't do himself any favors by putting Justin Trudeau's face over the headlines that Justin Trudeau was referring to in the original unedited clip, which I can't find immediately. The headlines in the back were National Post, I forget exactly from what outlets, and they were criticizing Trudeau. So Trudeau's point was, oh, despite the fact that we paid them $600 million, they still criticize us. The criticism in those headlines of that state-funded, state-bought media were pussyfooting around actual criticism. It was whitewashing of actual criticism. It was whitewashing of actual corruption. That is what you would call the controlled opposition. Yeah, you pay them $600 million. It can't all be hand jobs and back massages. They've got to criticize the government a little bit to make it look legitimate. The criticisms in those headlines were bullshit criticisms. What is literally controlled opposition? Well, we pay them. You better put a little bit of opposition, but not too much. And they tell you what they're doing as they do it. Mark Carney making the exact same freaking joke with the exact same fake criticism from state-funded media that knows you can push back a little bit. You gotta look like you're fighting, but not hard enough to win. You know, it's like in a fixed fight, you got to punch back. Otherwise, everybody knows the fight's fixed. Punch back too hard, you might throw the fight, or you might interfere with fixing the fight, and then whoever it is, the gangsters that bet on the fight being fixed, might go after you if you screw things up.
And they do go after people because the fix has been in since the beginning. Like I never voted for Justin Trudeau, and I don't understand. I do to varying degrees. I don't understand why people voted for him. Oh my goodness, a part-time drama teacher to be the leader of our goddamn country. Oh my goodness. But we're there. I want to go into my feeds. I'm not going to share the rest. I really enjoy Viva Frei. I highly recommend people, if you have not listened to him, take a look at his stuff. And because these are the types of people he's calling out as well, I think it's really important. So this is Palantir's CEO, Alex Karp, on his lower purpose. So I'm wondering, like, when he gets, if Prospera actually ends up becoming what they want it to become, this guy's going to be untouchable. So, like, what he wants to do, possibly, you know, he'll have the free reign to do at some point in time if he's not already doing it.
You need a higher purpose. And I also think you often need a lower purpose. Like the higher purpose for me.
What's a lower purpose?
Well, I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us.
Analysts like me.
So that's my lower purpose. And yeah,
That's my business.
and others. But the higher purpose for me was to get this nation to be the preeminent power in the world, because whatever faults we have, they're nothing like anyone else's. You need a higher purpose.
No, he just wants to exploit Americans and people internationally, and he wants to be part of Prospera. Some of my freaking stories are not even available anymore, which is frustrating. So this is from Global News. Extortion suspects have all claimed refugee status, Canada Border Agency says. It's all coming out. And this is what ridiculous people voted for. Okay, so I have to set this up. I sent this to Helen Bruce too, from Megan Kelly. A lot of information is coming out. It's going to anger a lot of parents. It's going to anger a lot of people when they realize just how far people went, even in Canada, to bury theirs, to bury deaths of children and adolescents. It's absolutely horrific. And Helen deserves a friggin' award for what she went through and what she did to try to expose this early on, and targeted and attacked by her own, within her own organization, and still in the courts for dishonorable conduct. Absolutely disgusting, because of trying to share information with her supervisors, her chain of command, medical, scientific, and government data, legit data that's all coming out now in slow roll. Suspended and charged, all of that stuff within the first weekend of the Freedom Convoy, and again, still ongoing in the courts. It's been years. And she's a hero. This is what she was trying to call out.
Extraordinary piece of reporting has just come out about the COVID vaccine trials and children. Alex Berenson reported this, and I have been reliably informed that we are fine to go with this reporting and that this will be borne out in the coming days. His headline is, and it was an exclusive to him, the FDA may add a strict black box warning on the mRNA COVID shots for kids and teens.
Almost 2026.
Millions of whom have already been given this thing, a black box warning. He reports the FDA may soon place this warning on the vaccines to alert physicians and parents of their link to childhood deaths. This is the strictest an agency can impose, this kind of warning. It's generally the last step they take before forcing a manufacturer to stop selling it. They're also considering an alternative, forcing Moderna and Pfizer to stop selling them to kids and teens, period. The potential move, he reports, follows the FDA's report on Friday that its reviewers had found COVID mRNA jabs killed at least 10 children and adolescents.
Oh, it's more than that.
And likely many more.
He
said they'd asked the FDA for comment, waiting to hear back. My sources tell me this is safe reporting. This actually is under consideration, and we're going to hear a report confirming this within days from the highest levels. This is an outrage, Chamath. This was forced on us. Every school, including my own, they were expelling boys who would not take the vaccine once they hit 16 and so on. This is downright dangerous, and it was sold to us by the Fauci, Biden, Collins administration under Joe Biden that refused to consider actual scientists like Vinay Prasad, who led this.
Yep.
He's leading this within FDA, who was an independent physician at Johns Hopkins at the time. And he was saying this at the time, saying these vaccines are causing
An independent physician at Johns Hopkins University and had worked for the FDA. So again, to dismiss this guy, absolutely criminal. And my friend, 20 plus years in the Army. She was an Army officer. She was in the combat arms first, and then she moved into another department. And I can't say her name because it's still stuff that is ongoing, still stuff that's in the courts, and she doesn't want to have that spotlight on her. And but she was kicked out while pregnant. Yeah, first kid, and it was a high risk because she was 39 years old. Right? Geriatric pregnancy, her first pregnancy, because she gave her career and her life to the fucking military, like other women I know. Again, small amount of women that I know within the combat arms, exceptional human beings, exceptional, and have been royally fucked for speaking up and out. And I wonder if it's because women that are in these first responder type jobs, or these jobs that are like primarily dominated by men, and rightfully so, we focus more on women, generally speaking, we focus more on people, and men focus more on things and outcomes and results. Whereas we're the ones that, like, again, focus more on the collateral damage of people, humanity, animals, etc., more so than men. And so if we are able, be based on merit, to have a seat at the table, and we're still getting dismissed and not taken seriously, though they want to be friends with us, they don't want to talk with us because, again, we're women, we're still women, etc., even though in many areas we are stronger at our jobs than the people that we're trying to communicate with, and was going nowhere. Again, like oh, I almost said her friggin' name. Oh my goodness. Anyways, she was sharing memorandums. She was an officer, 10-page long memorandums, official military correspondence that was being directed towards the chief of defense staff, right? Like the highest ranking military member. That's who it was sent up to, with references. I know this because I templated some of these memorandums, and I gave it to so many different people in so many different organizations, people that were willing to push it up, and completely squashed and lives ruined because of doing that. But what else do you do? And so I do think that people need to acknowledge that have been men and women, but at least in my experiences, largely women that have been in the forefront and getting a lot of heat. So much heat in so many different ways, including getting kicked out, financially bankrupted, having to flee, all of this stuff, jail charges, suspensions, et cetera, and there's even women within government, like the politician types, like I hate that I'm forgetting some names, but people like Daniel Smith and Melissa Landsman and others, and Marit Stiles, even though she's NDP, very, very courageous woman for what she's calling out at the provincial level against Doug Ford, who's a conservative, but he's also a friggin' traitor criminal, and he has not been jailed yet. And again, this is what I mean. It's a two-tier justice system, and it's also like the elite being protected, the elite class, and he's not even elite, which is annoying. He just was put in that class. That's so annoying. And but it's a coup from within, and these elite types, again, this has been like a slow roll, very strategic, and it's very impressive. And but there was also these two women from the West Coast. Oh my God! And again, they've been speaking out a lot of stuff that's been going on with this woke DEI stuff as well, and getting trolled, and but they need to have their time, I think, in the light for what they've been through. And Jasmine Lane, and even and Alexa Lavoie, like women like this have gone through a lot just to speak the truth and try to like speak common sense to people, and they don't get a lot of support. They're starting to now, people like that, but yeah, they went through a lot.
Deadly myocarditis in kids and teens. And he was scoffed at. He was marginalized like so many others and tried to dismiss as fringe. And now, thank God, under Trump and Marty McCary, he's been elevated to an important position. An extraordinary.
Yeah. Anything else I want to say on that? Yeah, people are saying that that this cabinet or this government is burying all the records and stuff like that for the Freedom Convoy, like who voted on it, like what information was brought up in order to justify it, substantiate all that stuff. Well, guess what? Just like I said, I have that information. It's archived. It's on my records. I have it, and they can't take it away from me. And I've also done videos where I've actually shared the information, even the reports from CSIS, stuff that I got from access to information requests that I got from Ethos and Eris, etc. And yeah, it's all laid out. It's all laid out. And so Rumble, so far, not censored. I mean, it's to varying degrees. I've had at least one video removed from Rumble, but that's it. And if you look at my YouTube, again, I'm on account number 10 million. And even with that, I have like multiple videos that have been removed from this channel as well. Yeah, medical misinformation, my ass. And the myocarditis, pericarditis research that I'm looking at, that is literally stuff as well that I was emailing to our government. I have the receipts 4 years ago. Yeah. And who it impacted most. And I was saying it was young men, young boys. What the fuck are you doing with this? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And with the 2 to 5 year period as well, after getting inoculated with these mRNA therapeutics that were already in trials and already tested years before COVID. Anyway, people need to go to jail. And it needs to be our government that does the right thing and does that. So like Brenda Lucky, investigate her, people that were heads of certain departments, look at McKinsey, look at the reports that were being provided and by who. And these people need to be investigated. This is Yale. Yale Medical School invites Columbia PhD to present on killing white people at the Children's Center. This is the white hate being pushed at Yale. This is Yale. Wow. And this is a doctor. Okay, let's see what she has to say. Not a good picture.
I had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way, burying their body, and wiping my bloody hands as I walked away relatively guiltless. With a bouncing like that, like I did the world a fucking favor. This is the cost of talking to white people at all. The cost of your own life as they suck you dry. There are no good apples out there. White people make my blood boil. Psychological predicament. Because white people feel that we are bullying them when we bring up race. They feel that we should be thanking them for all that they have done for us. They are confused, and so are we. Can you hear me okay?
DEI hired.
Yes? Okay. We keep forgetting that directly talking about race is a waste of our breath. We are asking a demented, violent predator who thinks that they're a saint or a superhero to accept responsibility. It ain't gonna happen. They have 5 holes in their brain. It's like banging your head against a brick wall, just like sort of not a good idea. We need to remember that directly talking about race to white people is useless because we're at the wrong level of conversation.
Oh, okay.
Addressing racism assumes that white people can see and process what we are talking about. They can't. That's why they sound demented. They don't even know they have a mask on. White people think it's their actual face. We need to get to know the mask.
They didn't even know they're awful. You don't even know you have COVID. You're asymptomatic. They're ridiculous. And these are the types of professors that I was literally, and again, because I wasn't vaccinated, I wasn't able to go on the campus, but I was in my 4th year for a cognitive science degree, another degree. I did the poli-sci thing at RMC, and then I did an exchange at West Point. So again, I already have an academic background, but largely autodidactic with the stuff that I've learned beyond the education system, because 4th year, I literally was having arguments with my professors respectfully, but over email, and trying to contact them over conversation or over the phone, and wanting to have a conversation with them in person, but I wasn't vaccinated, couldn't even enter the campus. And they were saying the most nonsensical things, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you guys are supposed to be science professors. Like even with like the psycholinguistics professor, with the adoption of like with the insistence of the pronouns, like all of this stuff being adopted in language, and the debates and discussions on that. And anyway, so much stuff, and it's frustrating because it's like I'm giving good information. And first of all, I'm like much older than most people that were attending Carleton University, especially in the courses I was in. I come with like 20, more years of life experience and education and et cetera, that I was bringing to the table, completely being dismissed, which is fine. It is what it is. But again, for people that like are literally just entering the education system out of their parents' homes, respectfully speaking, and listening to professors that are far left, white, hating, and if they're white, they're like literally hating themselves as well. People that have been pushing such a woke DEI curriculum. And again, even in the science department, not as bad as the like the social, like the arts programs and stuff like that, but like it's getting there. It's literally like, and you know, not being able to define what a woman is, like stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. And pushing for like children again to be transitioned and exploited and all that stuff. Very interesting stuff. But again, these leftists, like again, it just frustrates me even like listening to this, because they're still working in these departments, high level jobs, heads of departments and stuff like that as well. And I'm calling and trying to have conversations. Nothing. Intolerant. They refuse to listen to anyone else, and they hate us. And they're not qualified. Did you hear that girl talk? That's a PhD professor speaking at Yale University.
If you haven't seen the Bill Blair interview,
I just shared this. There's not too much said for this, but there are people that are
if you haven't,
trying to get interviews with Bill Blair. I think he's a traitor to Canada. I know that sounds like a dramatic. I've shared videos on that, my reasons why. His time as the chief of police in Toronto during that the G20 summit in what was it, 2010 or 2014? Anyways, with what happened there, with the level of overreach and the tyrannical measures used, the plants that were used, like taking people that like weren't even part of like these protests, that were going to their homes or leaving restaurants and interrogated and interviewed for hours, like not even in police precincts, and like not even reports made on these people, and the snatch and grabs and the crisis actors, the role players that were involved, with the media involved as well, in order to sensationalize what was going on and again make it seem like something that it was not, or painted it into something that it was not. And why did it take so long for the police car to for there to be a response when it was on fire? When you're literally around, like there are fire departments close by, law enforcement assets close by, within seconds, within minutes at the most, right, to respond, and then just allowing people to get their photo ops on top of the vehicles and stuff like that. Just very interesting. And then the Minister of National Defense and things like that, working in cabinet, selling us out during the COVID eras, and the Freedom Convoy, you know, with the Emergency Act being declared, his involvement in that as well, and then the lies about Russia, Ukraine, like just so lies about Israel, Palestine. Like I even said, like even 2 weeks after something was very clearly like proven to be debunked, and he still has it on his social media. He was the Minister of National Defense, $400,000 plus salary, part-time job, and again, not good at it. And this guy gets accolades. He gets to go to speaking events and blah, blah, blah. And no one calls this guy out for being a goddamn traitor. And then I'm saying that on behalf of men and a couple of women, but like mostly men that have worked under him in Toronto. Okay, really incredible guys doing really hard friggin' work all the time. And they are so frustrated with their chain of command at the top and what they're pushing down. And it's overwhelming them. It's making people want to resign. They're going through way too much risk. Or a lot of people are just focusing more on the hate crimes divisions and units now. That's what they want, hate crime stuff, right? And that just came up in the last couple of years. Again, that is a huge red flag. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I hope this guy never works for government again. He's likely never going to get jailed, but he absolutely deserves to be investigated. He deserves to be charged, and he needs to be bankrupted.
haven't seen the Bill Blair interview, you've got to see it. It's pretty crazy.
One that's enforced the law apparently for so long, you'd think you'd know even the smallest detail about that. And then you just told me I said something that I didn't say, and it's on video. You could even go look it up yourself. See, this is a problem, right? And I'm just looking for honest discussion, honest conversation with honest people that really want to solve the problem. And you just told me a lie, that I said that people are going to open fire on the police. I'd never said that in my life. Not in my life. The video is right there on your computer. So I don't
watch your video,
now,
Rod. I have to.
Well, apparently you just did. You just told me that you did.
It's been reported to me.
Oh, so it's hearsay.
No, but I've seen it written that you said implied that people would be, children could be injured in the crossfire of this thing, and quite frankly.
And just to be clear, this guy was law enforcement, like a chief of police, not even investigating or assessing evidence before making false claims against people that significant. Like, do you think that he is the best that was in the department for that job? No, because I know people that were like much lower ranking than him, way better than him, know way more about what's going on than he does. And they're really disgusted in this guy, by the way. So again, I'm not speaking on behalf of myself. There are multiple people that have reached out to me, especially during COVID, gave me a lot of information about him regarding, again, his corruption and what was going on with Toronto and still in the courts and like the payouts and all of this stuff. And then obviously during the Freedom Convoy, his involvement in that. And whether he realizes it or not, he sold out Canada for his own self-interests.
I think that
no, I never said crossfire. And the problem is when you pay the media $600 million to tell your story, this is exactly what you get.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the most important pieces we ever did.
If you haven't seen the Bill Blair interview, you got to see it. It's pretty crazy.
Someone that's enforced the law apparently for so long, you think you know even the smallest detail about that, and then
if you haven't seen the Bill Blair,
I would love to interview Bill Blair.
I'm not even going to play around anymore.
I would love to interview Bill Blair, but that would never happen. And again, of course, I would be respectful and peaceful. I've literally proven that time and time again, even doing executive protection for Justin Trudeau, even in 2022. And again, thinking that he is a traitor to the country. And I think he should be in jail. But again, that's not me. I'm not a cop. I'm not involved in the investigation process against him. And so I hope that's done sometime. And so moving on from that, I want to paint this clip because it's very relevant to what's going on even now. And same propaganda, different war. And so he's just showing you just how similar the narrative has been, how it doesn't really change. Little differences, and people still fall for it. And it's one thing for like the average Canadian or American to fall for it, but when you have people that are literally working in the highest levels of government and hiring people as consultants or analysts that literally have no idea what they're talking about, and pushing the same agendas and shaping the battlefields and assisting the steering committees with their narratives and stuff like that and implementing it. It's like, it's boring. Anyway, rinse and repeat.
Hit me with the works. Iraq, Venezuela, go!
We're giving them full opportunity to do it the easy way. And when it doesn't work, we'll do it the hard way.
If we can do things the easy way, that's fine. And if we have to do it the hard way, that's fine too.
Chemical weapons is a threat to the United States.
Fentanyl poses a chemical weapons threat to the United States.
Al-Qaeda terrorists inside Iraq.
Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere.
We can get rid of Saddam. It could really begin to transform the region.
There's an opportunity to transform the entire region.
Bringing freedom and democracy.
Democracy and freedom can serve as a
beacon of hope.
Shock and awe.
I'm not even going to play around anymore. Hit me with the works. Iraq, Venezuela, go!
We're giving them full opportunity to do it the easy way.
I'm not even going to play.
Why on
more events, more rants.
Why on God's earth
this was a good one.
Is a man who was making bombs in Egypt for the Muslim Brotherhood, one of the most extremist Islamist organizations that has terrorized the world, that most Islamic countries ban. This man was put in prison in Egypt for 8 years. When he comes out of prison, he runs off to Turkey, doesn't he? And then from there, he makes his way illegally over to the country. He breaks into the country to claim asylum. The Home Office know he's a bomb maker. They know he's a terrorist. But instead of saying, we don't want the likes of you over here, sunshine, oh no, they give him luxury accommodation in a hotel in the middle of London. So I thought to myself, well, maybe they think at least we can keep some eyes on. We can't actually put him in prison because he's not done anything in the UK yet. We can't deport him to Egypt because international law says he might actually end up going back to prison there, or so on and so forth. So at least you sit there and think, maybe they're going to be observant of this character, because Lord knows he might be going down to Screwfix to buy a massive bag of nails. He might be ordering fertilizer online. He might be making a bomb vest. He might be sitting there planning how he's going to blow up a classroom of little English girls. So you would hope that they might watch this person to make sure he's not going to do wicked things to our country, in our country, while we pay to put him up in a hotel. But clearly, no, there wasn't eyes on this terrorist, because he was able to wander freely around and go and rape a woman in a park in the middle of London. This isn't just balmy. This is suicidal. This is sheer negligence. This is one of the most disgusting stories I've ever read in the newspaper. Ever.
Disgusting.
Why?
How deep was
I've talked about Muslim Brotherhood. I've talked about certain cultures and how, unfortunately, with certain demographics within certain cultures, it's not compatible with Canadian culture and ideologies and religious beliefs and things like that. And I mean that respectfully. And I hope that people understand where I'm coming from when I say this more and more. If you look at the US and Canada, we're not at the levels, obviously, of Europe at this point, but we are close to getting there, especially with the Century 21 initiative and how we're rolling out immigration within Canada at the levels we are with the grift and the Liberals. Again, since they have come into power, Trudeau said that, again, he was focused more on a woke DEI cabinet. He wanted to have 50% women, all of this stuff, like these ridiculous quotas. And people are trying to say, oh, there's no quotas. Like, this is not happening. It's happening. It's literally even happening in the goddamn House of Commons. And so I'm going to get into Jasmine Lane and her calling out that friggin' moron leftist radical. Because I love it when women call out other women that should be called out, again, because it's hard. And there's the fear of retaliation and things like that, because again, both these people have good, like, large platforms. But I think more women should be calling out women. And obviously in a peaceful way. Just like I think it was Jubilee when they had on liberal women in the U.S. against conservative liberal white women, actually in the U.S. and they were debating against conservative Black women. Really look at that podcast or debate, whatever. It was really interesting, and the Black conservatives actually demolished these white liberal women. Unfortunately, with the debate, because they brought a lot more facts and objective data into the conversation, and it made the other women look ridiculous. And again, and so I thought it was really, really interesting. And I like it when people do that. That's the way to do it. Try to have conversations where they actually listen and don't just shut you out, which they largely do. Where was it going with this? Okay. Oh yeah. So the Muslim. Oh yeah. So this woman alleging that it doesn't happen when even in our cabinet and our House of Commons. It's like the Prime Minister literally said that was his plan. That's what he did. It was not based on merit. It was not based on merit. And this is what we get when you put people in key positions, okay, where it's not based on people that are qualified or competent enough to do the job. And it's just so ridiculous that she was like trying to say that wasn't happening, when for literally decades I know countless men, especially white men, who have been refused or denied to work in law enforcement. Even a guy that was a former CFL player, has a degree, etc. I think it was in criminology. Another guy I knew had a criminology degree and super fit, and he wanted to be a firefighter. He made it to like the very end, and they were saying that they were they were looking for more of a diverse course, and anyways, and this goes on all the time. And so for people to say that it doesn't is absolutely nonsensical to me. And we're collapsing our military because of that.
Deep was the involvement of American companies in the mass killing in Gaza.
It's banks, pension funds, the big tech. There are, I exposed Amazon, Google, Microsoft, who have provided their services and access to data, Palestinian data, that has allowed Israel to set up systems to mass target and mass kill Palestinians. I mean, there is an application called Where is Daddy that allows the army to randomly track people and reach them when they are with their families, so as to inflict the most harm. How brutal is it? And I agree with you. This is something that people must understand, because this is the end of humanity, the end of the civilization that we have pretended to belong to until now. Israel has the most sophisticated military army in the region, and Israel is knowing exactly what it's doing and has been knowing this for 2 years. And this is why there are also so many soldiers now breaking down. The level of suicides is increasing among young Israelis who have served in the army, and of course so, because they are just older than teenagers, and they've been turned by indoctrination into the willful executioners of a genocide. This is why I'm saying we must intervene. People who love Israel must intervene to save what remains of Israel. The biggest harm is being done by those outside of Israel who keep on defending this regime that not only has imposed a military dictatorship,
and these private intelligence companies that are being utilized. I've named a few as well, like even with Canada, that are working out of Jersey City, Tel Aviv, and Toronto. One example out of several, and they're getting it from, it's propaganda, it's Hasbro bullshit, and psychological operations being painted into the narrative by people that were incredible, that have great resumes, did incredible work within government prior to getting these positions, which is why they were selected, obviously, and hired, but unfortunately selling Canada out. And incorrect with assessments, because again, look where they're getting their information from, and they're building it from. It's incredibly biased, and I tried so hard to talk to these specific individuals, and instead became more of a target. Anyways, but no, it's important, and we need to look at that. And I think it was Thomas Massey, someone that's watching, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but did he not just push something up where he now like is really committed to like America being like more, I guess, independent, like not being part of like the Five, like not Canada not being part of the Five Eyes community, or maybe even the US not being part of the Five Eyes community anymore, or NATO. And I did see it was going to get to that at some point. Again, you can look at my videos for the last couple of years, because like Canada, we are a security threat at this point to the US and to ourselves, just by virtue again of like the people that we're hiring and what they're sharing. It's a goddamn security threat, and we're not properly focused where we're supposed to be focused. And on that, again, I'm like all over the place because I didn't do a video for a couple of days, and I was busy at like yesterday and the day before. I got home late both nights, and just the conversations I was having with people was just fucking nuts. Oh my God. But anyways, good information, stuff I still have to like follow up and look through. But one of the things that was mentioned to me, and again, I still need to look into this more, but Southern Ontario farmland and land being sold, penny, like people getting like not a lot of money for their land, being bought by the government, and then possibly for like nuclear defense against Russia is what they're claiming, or at least that's the rumblings that's being talked about in this area, more rural, obviously, and again, and so like my question to that were like, why would it be there and not where I've said it should be, which would be the coastal areas, and then obviously up north, like Alert and Eureka and these areas, because if you are concerned about Russia, right, like the West Coast, geographically speaking, like you'd want to like have like more defenses there, and then in the north, because like you still have that passage that Russia with their nuclear platforms where they were traveling. I was showing this, starts with a P, the name of the that platform. But anyways, there was movement up north even a couple of years ago, and so you could just track or monitor like where these specific platforms are traveling. Not just Russia, there's other ones as well, and it's not just nuclear platforms. There's anyway, but yeah, you would want that like not like at the border of the US. Like, why does it have to be at the border of US? Like if they're going to be coming from the north or from the west, et cetera, et cetera. Like it didn't make sense to me. So like I got to look more into that stuff. And like, could that just be like it's something that's embellished or like miscommunicated, or is it just anyways, there's just so much to that. But I need more information before I get more into it. So if anyone has any information on that, please let me know.
For decades on the Palestinians in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, and until 2005 in Gaza, but also on the Israelis who are part of the system. You cannot brutalize the other without losing your humanity in the process.
That's exactly right. So just I want you to clarify something. There is some kind of app maybe made by an American company called Where's Daddy that allows the Israeli government to murder men in front of their children. Did I dream that, or did you say that?
No, I said basically Israel has developed, it's not an app, it's a system. Israel has developed this system, automatized system to decide the targets through a computing system, and the data has been provided by tech companies. I mean, I've mentioned also Palantir, who makes no secret of its support to Israel. And I quote in my report one of the highest figure in Palantir, who's confronted in a public debate and by someone who say, you are killing my families, you are killing civilians in Gaza. And he says, most probably terrorists.
How deep was the involvement of American companies in the mass killing in Gaza?
its banks, pension funds, the big tech. There are, I exposed Amazon, Google, Microsoft, who have provided their services and access to data, Palestinian data, that has allowed Israel to set up systems to mass target and mass kill Palestinians. I mean, there is an application.
So they're already doing that in Palestine. This is confirmed in other areas of the world. It's confirmed, and we are totally allowing this to roll out in Canada. Nothing will ever happen. They're not going to do what they're doing in these other countries with the same equipment with the same people. No. Are you mad? Don't accept that. Don't. Anyway, that's another mess too with what's going on with the EU and what's going on with people having their travel interrupted coming from the UK to visit. I think it was Finland. They were on their way, and there was like a new change that happened overnight with this biodigital convergence stuff, and they were not allowed to actually even gain entrance into the country. And we're in the airports just literally sort of like trapped, had no idea that this rolled out, had to give like things like fingerprints, like again, like huge overreach, data surveillance overreach in order to enter Finland. And so like, I'm so happy that I just left Europe and went to the remaining places I always wanted to go, because if that's the case, I will never go back. And that's what they wanted, right? You will be happy. So you'll own nothing. You'll be happy. They already talked about, restricting travel, you know what I mean? The 15-minute cities, and where it's only going to be like the elite and rich class are going to be able to travel. And then when they introduce the carbon score credit system and stuff like that, poor people like us, you know what I mean? We're going to be like selling our carbon credits or whatever you want to call it to the wealthy class and stuff like that, because they will be the only ones that are going to be able to travel. Also, because if they do it, they don't have to do the same levels of security as we do. They're not going to do their fingerprints and the biodigital stuff and the retinal scans and things like that. No, they're on private jets. They're on their own yachts, their own aircrafts and things like that. And they do whatever the fuck they want. This is to control us. Let me make that clear. Even Mark Zuckerberg, when like this guy, like massive data breach, again, by design, a lot of money in data mining, in human data mining. And they even asked him, like, how would you like it if I took your phone right now and looked at your conversations from last night? He wouldn't like it. Well, no shit. No shit. But you do that, right? Because it's rules for thee and not for me. And people think that just because they have a lot of money and a title, that just automatically makes it where like everything I do and say is completely okay. Anyway.
Called Where is Daddy, that allows the army to randomly track people and reach them when they are with their families, so as to inflict the most harm. How brutal is it? And I agree with you. This is something that people must understand, because this is the end of humanity, the end of the civilization that we have pretended to belong to until now. Israel has the most sophisticated military army in the region, and Israel is knowing exactly what is.
Right, so it's going.
How deep was the involvement of America?
There's just so much going on simultaneously. This is what I mean. This is so strategic and very effective, and again, there's like a lot of things that I'm even missing that I'm getting from like Dan Dix and stuff like that. Luckily, because I'm focusing on other things, and it's a group effort because there's a lot of shit happening again that's really not good. So this is from Gen Xer. This is what I shared with like a few people that are really good at digging and getting good information out. And so I'm hoping that they can look into this more. I haven't verified everything that this guy shares, but again, this is just interesting. So Power Corporation, the Demare, they're saying mafia pulling Carney strings like a goddamn puppet. Okay, they've been in the courts before. I'm going to share the allegations against this family, but there's been nothing that has been, there's been no convictions, if that makes any sense. And so a lot of people with a lot of money, they're in the billionaire class, can make things go away with a lot of money and the best defense and things like that. And so there could be that, which does happen, or they could be innocent. So anyways, Power Corporation, Demare, alleging crime family, has owned the Liberal Party for 50 years. But Trudeau Sr. owned Chrétien, made Paul Martin rich. And now they dropped $350,000 into Carney's fake charity to launder tax breaks for a Rideau Hall skating rink while he is still director. Same mafia runs Canada, China Business Council, Century Initiative, and half the lobby groups in Ottawa. Carney's their new glove puppet. It's not new. Unelected, arrogant, and too busy sucking Z's dick to call Trump. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Power Corps ain't just some faceless corps. It's the Desmarais family's iron-fisted empire that owned the Liberal Party for decades. That is actually true. They've been like the largest donors to like even Pierre Elliott Trudeau and beyond. And so that is true. Turning Ottawa into their personal whorehouse. Okay, I don't know where he's getting with that. There are, again, like Pornhub, I think it is operated out of, and they out of Montreal in Montreal, and they file their company in a different country. I think it's in Europe, but it's Canada. Anyway. Okay, so this from this guy again, not my words. Let's rip the scab off this festering wound. Founded in the 1920s as a power utility grab, Power Corps ballooned into a financial behemoth under Paul Desmarais Sr., a Quebec kingpin who built his throne on media, hello control of narratives via Post Media and Gesca. Insurance giants like Great West Lifeco and shadowy investments that make your stomach turn. But the real dirt, their chokehold on politics. This cabal has bankrolled and vetted every Liberal PM worth a damn. Pierre Trudeau moonlighted as their counsel. Jacques Dacier parked his ass on their subsidiary boards before becoming PM. Paul Martin ran their shipping arm and got filthy rich off it. Hell, even Maurice Strong, the UN's Green Daddy, was their president in the 70s. And the donations, nearly $300,000 to feds over a decade. It's probably more than that. 65% straight to liberals like clockwork, and then he's calling them corrupt fucks. Again, we don't know. Like, he's not giving enough proof yet. But again, it's hard when they're billionaires. It's easy to make things go away. Fast forward to Carney. The smug WEF poster boy's ties run deeper than his Davos dick pics. Oh my God, I don't know about that. Anyways, Power Corps heirs, Paul Jr. and André Desmarais, aren't just boardroom buddies. They're the godfathers of the Canada-China Business Council, cozying up to Beijing's commie overlords while funneling cash to liberal West war chests. 2519, Olivier Desmarais, the golden boy, chairs the CCP Love Fest, and guess who dropped $350K on Carney's slush fund charity skating rink scam? Power Corps. He's calling them thieving pricks. Okay, so laundering, well, he just really doesn't like these people. Laundering tax breaks for cronies while Carney directed the Rideau Hall Foundation until 3 days before his liberal coronation. From the original ATIP docs, redacted Bagman and all. Coincidence? I'd like to see that ATIP. And the influence, it's a goddamn hydra. Power Corps' fingerprints are on the Business Council of Canada, where their execs rub elbows with Brookfield, Carney's old vice chair gig, to lobby for pipelines, tax cuts for billionaires, and screwing over First Nations and the environment. Century Initiative, that population explosion wet dream pushing 100 million Canadians by 2100, code for cheap immigrant labor flooding wages, sponsored by Power Corps, with Carney's advisor Mark Wiseman pulling levers, and the Globe and Mail as their propaganda arm. With Globe and Mail, I've called them up before. There are good people that work within that organization, but there are people, and again, I've called out Mercedes Stevenson. I heard she used to be better with her reporting. There have been pieces, not all pieces. She's done some good pieces as well, so this is not a hate on. But what she did again with like that sexual assault scandal and stuff like that, and through COVID, just the people that she burned and the targeted attacks on people and getting people to like threaten and intimidate other people that were trying to give her good information, literally that's not the way you do business. And that's why, yeah, I've been harsh and I've been mean. And but again, I amp myself up, especially as someone who's not groomed in this industry to be a social media influencer. Not at all. Not my fucking job. Never want it. And I don't have someone around me to just like calm me down if I fire myself up when I'm talking about things, right? So I hope that makes sense. But anyway, but I think she should be fired. I don't think she should ever work for journalism again unless she apologizes for things that she has done and redact things that she's lied about, make some corrections, and then move on from there. Anyway, this is why Carney's energy shift is pure horseshit, suspending clean regs for AI data centers and pipelines, straight from Power Corps' playbook, unleashing Alberta oil to Asia, bypassing Trump tariffs while they pocket billions from Total SA, the French oil whores, and CCP-tied deals. Oh my goodness, a lot to unpack here. Okay, so it's economic treason, families crushed under 50% unemployment, factories ghosts while Desmarais jets to Beijing laughing. And Z is exploding, folks screaming Carney's a Power Corps marionette, liberals as CCP puppets, Globe as their butt rag. It's actually like CBC, like is there, like it's also them. Anyways, wake the fuck up. Power Corps isn't building Canada. They're fucking it to death for profit. Carney's their Trojan horse. Liberals, their lapdogs. Time to burn this corrupt circus down before they sell to us to Z and Trump both. Okay, so this is from this guy. I don't think that you should be burning anything down. Obviously, I've been saying that for years, including the friggin' like these forest fires that they allege is climate related. No, that's arson. And whoever's doing it, you're a dumb idiot. Like, you're not helping anything. And these are climate activists, often working for government or with government. I'm talking about the wildlife preservation types and things like that, not the first responder types. But anyway, people need to get fired. People need to stop electing these people. People need to look at the election tampering and the bribes that's been going on to get these liberal votes. People need to put the pressure on CBC with their media bias. But is that this stuff that's going to be done? No, because they run the show. Anyway, the legacy. This was interesting as well. The legacy of Trudeau, Carney, and their NDP Liberals, and Bloc, by the way, and Green. Yeah, so these are all the bills they want to put in place that if they become the majority government, will be adopted. 60 million arrive scam app. Yeah, people need to not forget that. And people did not get held accountable for that at all. Emergency acts, war level act against peaceful protesters, hard drugs called safe drugs supplied in vending machines, 258 million in projects to GC Strategies, Winnipeg Labs, SNC Lavalin scandal, Aga Cantrip scandal, 84K in Jamaican vacation, 6K a night for a single room for the Queen's funeral, 1.3 million on 3 affordability retreats. Don't forget Omar Khadra. I don't even know if he has him on this goddamn list, but like, let's not forget that. Chinese police stations in Canada, green slush fund scandal. By the way, Sharia law also being implemented in Canada as well. And so it's not just Chinese police stations. There are also people that are that have their own systems of justice that they're trying to have in Canada, which again, it's not related to our legal system. 29 billion in cost overrun at TMX, expanding MAID into those with mental illness. MAID has become absolutely, again, a hot topic for so many different countries, saying that it's like the top, like one of the top leading causes of death in Canada is MAID, is death by doctors, and people are looking at parallels from what happened with Europe and with Nazi Germany, and people working with them, and how they had executed, I think it was like almost 1 million people who were disabled or what they considered to be mentally ill, or like the weak people. And so they did, and so they, and again, like, these were crimes against humanity, absolutely disgusting, horrific to do that. And we're grooming people to be exploited at their most vulnerable points in order to do the same thing. Like, the government is literally doing what people did in Nazi Germany, and everyone thinks this is okay. It's absolutely disgusting. And again, look at the amount of people who are dying by MAID every single year in Canada. And Veterans Affairs also working anyways to exploit their own veterans who have mental health issues. Like, oh, maybe this is a good option for you. No, it's fucking not. The We scandal, that's like the Trudeau, again, another philanthropy company that's used for money laundering and bribes. CPP increased in CPP2. Highest inflation in 30 years, highest interest rates in 30 years, unsustainable immigration, forcing untested vaccinations, not even vaccines, ignoring vaccine injured, 11 million Canadians requiring food banks, 2 million Canadians hitting the food banks per month every month, 10 cities in every major city, housing and rent prices skyrocketing, healthcare collapsing, out of control spending by the Governor General. God, we used to have people like Vincent Massey, and now we like oh my God. Again, DEI. Overpayment of CERB payments to prisoners, people who don't qualify, people who don't live in Canada. And that was a lot of money that was put into that we'll never see again. Taxpayers did that. 10K ventilators purchased from a Liberal friend that never got used because they were never needed. 300 million for storage of mobile hospitals that were never used. 400 million for quarantine hospitals. Illegally using the Emergency Act against Canadians that was deemed unlawful by Mosley. in January of 2024, firing federal workers and not paying them EI based on vaccination status. $30 billion in making batteries for cars while EV manufacturers divesting from EV technology. There's just so much here. Accusing India of killing citizens on Canadian soil. Look into that. Soiling relations with China. They're doing the opposite of that. Oh my God. Yeah, conflating climate boiling with arson. Yeah, already mentioned that. Violated Canadian charter rights and still doing so. Rising crime rates. Canadian forces made ineffective, out of date. Like, this is sad to even hear that. I fucking hate that. We used to be like the best of the best, especially Patricia's. Yeah, people like Jenny Carignan should be, and I don't like talking about the chief of defense staff or a woman who, you know what I mean, in the military. But again, she has been part of the woke DEI crew that has been dismantling the military and forming witch hunts to target men, incredible men for years, and pushing the woke DEI stuff, putting in a Canfor when there's a citation, like the number one requirement is DEI. What the hell is even that? What the hell is even that for the Canadian Armed Forces? Oh my God, say that to a bunch of Patricia guys. Oh my goodness. But anyways, and so she's lost a lot of respect. And there are things that have been said by multiple different people that have worked with her or around her, even in 2019 in Iraq. It said that she hid under her desk during a rocket attack and then wanted to leave. And then she was ordered to not leave by a higher ranking American officer. And again, unbelievable that she would do that. And again, as someone who has also been like around rocket attacks, like even when I was in CAF to do my HLTA, there was a freaking rocket attack and people like actually infiltrated the area, and then it was responded to and stuff like that. But even when I was out in the area of operations, like there was times where there was like more, like there were rocket attacks, there was all of these things flying over our goddamn heads, and it's like part of the job. And if you're gonna walk on patrols, you know what I mean, there's gonna be goddamn IEDs probably as well. Oh my God, part of the job. And that's anyways. And so last year, after Trump became president, and he was like talking about like the trans DEI stuff, and Pete Hegseth was talking as well about this going to be something that's going to be a non-issue in the military anymore. They wanted to make their military strong again. She was literally part of a like a video teleconference with multiple senior officers and senior NCOs across Canada, like the cream of the crop. And this friggin' woman, okay, they asked, this was asked, like what is her position on DEI now, based on everything that's like the changes was happening in the U.S. And her words were, DEI is here to stay. And so, and the guys that told me about this were absolutely appalled by that and disgusted and saddened, and just, they're like, and now there's more resignations of senior ranking leadership with again the best of the best, and it's because of clowns like her. And there were other amazing women that could have taken that job if they wanted to have a woman as that in that role. But again, it shouldn't even be about that. That's not how you hire people. It's based on merit. And she didn't even fill the required roles and positions of leadership to even get that friggin' job that other men have, that ticks in the box, and totally overlooked. And it's really frustrating that get Brenda Lucky's and the Jenny Carignans, when there's some incredible women in these positions doing the hard jobs. But again, they're not careerists. They're not the political, they're not the politician types. Look at all these things that this guy has listed. Catherine McKenna's missing billions. She's like a sellout to Canada as well. She's such a fucking weirdo. Not smart. Again, I'm not trying to be salty. I'm just saying, like why do people like this get positions and not people like Jasmine Lane or Helen Gruce or multiple other women I know? Anita Anand, not even Canadian, giving hundreds of millions of dollars to her husband's company. Patty has used corruption. Winnipeg lab leak story, or at least information, like the lab leak, the leak being information within that lab that was being sent to China from the top secret scientists from China that we had just allowed to leave. Didn't do any investigation into their laptops or the information they were providing to China. None of that stuff. There's so much. Anyways, I retweeted. And yeah, not wrong in a lot of this stuff. It's just wild when you put it all together. All right. I did want to share more things here. It's important. Just going down the list. have so many tabs up. Okay, we'll go with this one first. Carney announces Ottawa investment at Mayor's Breakfast. This was December 8th. During the Mayor's Breakfast Monday, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced a $400 million investment to build residential units in Ottawa. And again, this is government-led. And it's going to be, again, like the people that have the monopoly on these industries that are going to be bidding and getting them. And again, further destroying Canada like they have since 2020 at an accelerated rate. Thank you, Taggart. Thank you, Mattamy. Thank you, Minto. Thank you, Kavanaugh. Again, you may think that you're coming from a good place, but you are literally enabling the destruction of suburbia, middle class, and and more liberal voters to be moved in those areas, because again, 97.3% of our population growth is immigration, and it's too high. We don't have the infrastructure. We have not increased since 2015, yet we have 7 million more people at least, and a lot of people here illegally and exploiting our resources. So who will be in these buildings? Okay, so just a little bit on. Desmarais was born in Sudbury, Ontario, to lawyer Jean-Noel Desmarais. Yeah, so he's the Power Core owner that has done like a lot of donations to the Liberals. Yeah, management of Power Core with his sons. I'll just share a little more about his son. Okay, so Paul Guy Desmarais Jr., Canadian businessman and philanthropist. He's the chairman of Power Corporation of Canada. So again, like I said, he's still in the company, and he's the one that went to Lakefield College School. And I did take a look at it, and it actually seems like a really interesting school to go to. Like I would have actually been really interested to go to school like that when I was younger. Focus on fitness. They're focus on the outdoors. Like good philosophies. There was a chapel. They actually took down there was a church that was built on this property when it was first built, and just like I guess like in the 1990s, the late 1990s, they took the church down. I don't know why they would do that, but again, this is the secularization of Canada. Like this is like and so it's unfortunate. And they still have a chapel, but they don't do any, it doesn't seem like they do any religious services. It seems like there's like gatherings and meetings and speakers that go there. And it's a safe space for people to communicate and not so much to talk about religion. But again, it used to. And so very interesting school, very, very interesting people that have gone there, including royalty. Andrew. Okay, so this is again like another one of his sons. He also went to Lakefield College School, amongst other schools. Goldman Sachs. Okay, so like born in Ottawa, Ontario, attended Lakefield, Concordia University, Montreal. Anyways, their family has also worked again with in the UK, like the financial industries, the banking industries. These people are connected to, and Goldman Sachs. Just don't know where it says it here. Yeah, board memberships, deputy chairman, Power Core and Power Financial, Great West Life Co., Canada Life, and Power Retirement, Putman Investments, IGM Financial Inc., IG Wealth Management, Mackenzie, Power Sustainable, vice chairman, Pargesa Holding SA. So pension stuff, hey? And look what Carney's wanting to do with our pensions. Honorary chairman of the Canada-China Business Council, member of the Trilateral Commission. Oh my God. I actually missed that. Yeah, I was going through this quickly, but oh fuck. So for those that don't know, let's see what Wikipedia says. Non-governmental international organization aimed at fostering closer cooperation between Japan, Western Europe, and North America. It was founded in July 1973, principally by American banker and philanthropist David Rockefeller. Like it goes on from there, but anyways, just oh my fucking God, that's funny. Order of Canada, National Order of Quebec, etc. No, Helen Groos doesn't get an Order of Canada. But if you have money, you get awards. All right, I'm just going through the list here. Paul, is it sharing? Yeah. So, Paul Desmarais III, he Same age as me. He's 6 months younger. Sorry, 6 months older. A Canadian businessman and philanthropist. So Bachelor of Science degree in economics from Harvard, Master of Business Administration degree in INSEAD. He also went to Lakefield. So he's the one. After working at Goldman Sachs, Emery's, and Great West Lifeco, Desmarais became Vice President of Power Corporation of Canada and Power Financial Corporation, 2014. January 2017, he was named Senior Vice President of both companies, Chairman and CEO of Sagard, an alternative asset manager involved in venture capital, of course, private equity, of course, private credit, of course, real estate and royalties. Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah. So if people want to do some digging into that, I also gave, I wanted to give this to Moose on the Loose. I don't know if he'd ever see it or respond to it, because again, he probably gets a lot of messages, but I'd like to at least try. This is the Build Canada Homes, that initiative that just came out this year. Not surprised. Government of Canada. This is their website. Build Canada Homes, driving long-term affordable housing solutions. I don't think the government should be involved at all. And when the Soviet Union collapsed in 91, because there was a lot of, it was controlled by the government, housing, and there was rules, obviously, that had to be followed, and regarding what your house looked like, and what was presented, how it was presented, and all that stuff, and with codes and things like that. And as soon as the Soviet Union collapsed in 91, there were people that started putting in a lot of color into their homes that they weren't able to do before. So outside and inside, and elaborate designs and decorations were even on the ceilings. It looks like clouds, and there's waterfall, mirages and stuff like that, and murals on walls, and just beautiful details within stairways and staircases and floors and lighting and things like that. And it was people that missed that, because again, they were there was just so much gray, like we're seeing now with these cookie cutter houses and these buildings. They all look so drab and just so soulless, and they lack creativity, and they don't motivate or inspire people. It's just bland. And anyway, there's more to it than that. But no, government should not control housing. What the fuck? They literally did this. Stalin, Mao, Lenin. Come on, guys. Xi Jinping, I mean, obviously not to the same degrees as these other guys, and Kim Jong-un is what I meant to say. And when are we going to learn? When are we going to learn? We don't, because we have people in positions of authority that are hired based on DEI and not merit. All right, I'm almost through the tabs here. This is another rabbit hole with PowerCore and who they're connected to, with sponsors, donations, and affiliated pages and things like that. It's as really Canadian charity inspired by certain priorities. Okay, so let's see, what are they? They were one of the biggest donators to the PowerCore. Over 500,000 donated. And so I was like, oh, what is this company? Why are they giving so much money to this company? And so I looked at that as well. When you look at PowerCore and stuff like that, look at who donates to them, look who they donate to, and all these friggin' rabbit holes, again, that just leads to the same friggin' people. Anyway, my hair's annoying me, so I'm just putting my hat back on. I took the dogs for a nice walk this morning before doing a video. I talked about Round Square. No, I'll go to Grok. All right, so this is what Grok had to say about PowerCore. Diversified international management and holding company based in Montreal, Quebec, founded in 1925. It focuses on financial services, renewable energy, of course, and communications through subsidiaries like Great West Lifeco, IGM Financial, and Power Sustainable. The company is controlled by the Desmarais family and has assets of approximately $900 billion as of 2025. It has played a significant role in Canadian business and politics, with ties to former prime ministers like Paul Martin and Jean Chrétien, and Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Okay, so for more details, they give the link. All right. Okay, so the Desmarais family, controllers of Power Corporation of Canada, a major financial conglomerate with 900 billion in assets. So it's like almost $1 trillion of assets. And there was that other guy that anyway. Okay, long history of significant donations to the Liberal Party of Canada. Excuse me, they are among the party's largest historical donors with ties dating back to the 1970s. Already named these people. Pierre Trudeau, Jacques Chrétien, Paul Martin. Recent data shows continued support, though Canadian donations limit cap individual contributions at $1,725 per year. But again, they donate to philanthropy companies and art deals, and like there's so many other ways around this. Cash, like anyway. So they've donated likely like a lot more than they're even alleging. Okay, so Paul Desmarais Sr. donated millions over decades. Okay, at least they're admitting that, millions over decades, including 100,000 plus to Liberal campaigns in the 1990s and 2000s. Contributing 500,000 collectively for Chrétien Martin or Martin. And that's just Elections Canada records. Come on. Okay, annually. So they donated 50 to 75,000 annually to Liberals. More than that. Like, this is such bullshit. Executives as 200,000 in 2023 to 2025. So Power Core PACs and executives added additional. Compared to others, Liberals receive approximately 30% of donations from financial sector. Power Core key player. Desmarais are the top 5 family donors per McLean's 2024 analysis. So anyways, that means nothing unless like are they affiliated or connected to crime? So I was just asking Grok, again, look more into this because these are not as credible as people think they are, these AI programs. Okay, so they're prominent Canadian business dynasties with significant political connections. And again, they did go to a good school as well, and maybe that was ingrained in them how to be good people. I don't know. Anyways, but allegations of criminality, involvement in the UN oil for food scandal, or Syrian financing have been investigated and did not result in charges or convictions against family members. A 2018 Globe and Mail report detailed Desmarais' investment entangled in an alleged terror financing probe in France, but no criminal charges were filed against the family. So again, like they have a lot of money. So is this something that is actually legit that they're connected to? Possibly. But again, with all of that money, it's so easy to make this stuff go away. This is what I mean, like Bill Gates and these guys, Fauci, like they're never going to see a jail cell. And they should. And they're still getting propped up. Okay, so similarly, a 2017 Medium article called The Crime Family in the context of political influence, but this is unsubstantiated. Okay. Okay. Anyways, rabbit hole that I don't need to get into. Okay, so I was asking about the $400 million investment that Carney had announced a couple of days ago. So partnership with Build Canada Homes, again, it's a federal housing agency, and the city of Ottawa, of course it is. No specific private building contractor has been named as the main one for the contracts. It's a public-private model where the city will waive development charges. Sure they will. But again, it's going to be friggin' people like Minto. Where will they build? Priority sites up to 1,000 units on federal lands in Ottawa. Example, the Jackson Building downtown, a former public services and procurement Canada site at 73 Spark Street. Up to 2,000 units on city-approved sites, focusing on fast-tracked affordable housing in high-need areas like downtown Ottawa and suburbs. If these are going to be friggin' tech, like federal government, like working in like the tech surveillance, CBDC, like Occupado, get out of Ottawa, move, leave the country, go somewhere else. How about that? All right. So then I asked, what are the top 3 construction and housing building companies in Ottawa and suburbs? Look what's number 1, Mattamy Homes. And they have allowed destruction of heritage sites, of trails, protected lands, you name it. You name it. And then further increasing crime and so many other things and damage within these areas, and people trying to get law enforcement involved because people are showing videos of what these people are actually doing, like around their own around people's homes and how it's been impacting them within their own homes, and they don't care. I have emails as well and phone calls. I tried reaching out. I was so friggin' respectful at first, and then I'm like, you guys are fucking losers. But by the end of it, absolutely disgusting human beings. Because anyway, they just it's all about money. And we had people within the House of Commons, like even in the Forestry Department, that were proving this. Absolutely disgusting. Millions of trees shredded in the area, and they were shredded. There was not used for alternative means of energy or resources. Yeah. So how many homes are listed in Ottawa? It's like just to show you that I'm not lying. This is from MLS. Ottawa overall, almost 3,000 already. But again, you need people that actually are coming in to do jobs that make a lot of money, because the average cost is $651,000. Thanks Carney and Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland, and yeah, so people can't afford that, right? Like I can't afford that. I mean, I obviously can now with my partner, but he doesn't like being called my boyfriend because he's older than me by a lot, and so it's like, so I don't know why. Anyway. But we need to have people coming as doctors or lawyers or engineers or people that are in high skilled trade careers to afford this. That's what, like, and so look into that. And then for rent, yeah, we've got a lot of rent for sale as well. Yeah, if you add these all up, it's over 1,000. I may have been incorrect my last assessment. Oh, because it's homes for rent. Okay, because there's also rooms for rent. There's also yeah, like shared accommodations as well that people are looking for in this area, and there's a lot of those as well, especially for students. Okay, so anyway, then I was getting into eudoxis again. I'm going all these yeah, me looking at Prospera. Yeah, so Carney's connections with Peter Thiel and Sam Altman, they're very clear, and others as well. With Peter Thiel co-invested in 130 trillion for net zero tech via GFANZ 2021 to 2025, including Honduran renewables near Prospera. Met at Davos 2023, Urban Innovation, Bloomberg 2023. What he means is 15-minute cities. Sam Altman praised Altman's AI for good at a 2024 UN summit. Oh my God, OpenAI's 2025. Honduras AI lab received $20 million from Brookfield, Carney's former firm. Okay, still has assets, and shared contacts like David Sachs, Thiel's associate, Trump's AI czar. And then he's got Evan Solomon, or at least he did, with his new cabinet position that he created, which is AI, which does cause a lot of pollution, by the way. And it takes a lot to cool down the systems and the servers that are utilized for these searches. Anyway, the world. Let's see what else did I get into. Yeah, so Kent Fransby, Erika Kirk's father, program research director at AZ Tech International Inc., a firm based in Surprise, Arizona, specializing in earned value management for government contracts. He has contributed to projects involving collaborations with defense contractors like Raytheon on missile defense systems. The company holds a GSA multiple awards schedule contract, enabling it to work with such films, and there's more. Professional background includes over 20 years in the defense industry with experience at General Electric. It doesn't mean anything other than, like, it's just interesting that there seems to be a redundancy where people work. And anyways, and the connections and the plans. Very interesting. Okay, I'm almost there. I went such tangents. How long have I been? Oh my God, almost 2 hours now. Anyway, I wanted to finish with Jasmine Lane, so you don't have to hear my annoying voice. And she talks about a lot. I highly recommend people take a look at her channel. The title of this one is JD Vance Stuns Canada, says what no politician has the courage to admit. Okay, so maybe I'll start with that, and then we'll get into like the 15-minute mark, because then she calls out that crazy woman again.
Take action on this immediately.
Buckle up, because we are about to get into one of my least favorite topics to discuss. While it's one of the arguably most important it's really hard for me to talk about it. It's deeply personal to me. But I'm about to go scorched earth. Will there be any survivors? Stay tuned to find out. We are literally watching a generation collapse, and politicians with their left-hand man, the media, they are blaming private citizens who are sounding the alarm instead of themselves, who actively shape public discourse and narratives and opinions, as well as who actively shape the policies and decisions that affect every aspect of our nation and our lives as we know it. This has nothing to do with hate speech. It has everything to do with controlling speech. I'm Jasmine Lane. Subscribe, like, follow, and comment your thoughts down below. Share this video as well. And we have some really shocking truths coming from Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and JD Vance that every single one of us needs to be paying attention to right now.
Nobody has the right to live their lives being protected from offense or from insult or from hurt feelings. It is an occupational hazard of living in society. And if you really can't take it, become a hermit.
I actually received a letter that was sent out to students at a university here in the country, and it's for their safer space policy, where it says that they want to create a campus and community that is positive and free from discrimination and oppression of any kind. It goes on to say that behavior, physical or verbal, that is demeaning, aggressive, or hostile will not be tolerated, including but not limited to racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, ableist, and fatphobic comments or actions of any kind. Harassment, verbal or physical violence, theft, or wearing clothing or accessories that appropriate another's culture. It goes on to say how they're going to make sure that students are held accountable for their actions. If you're not creating a safe atmosphere, you will be removed.
Yes, I think as a general rule, you can tell which side is the good side and which side is the bad side by which side wishes to restrict freedom of speech. The side that is restricting freedom of speech, that would have been sort of the Hitler, Stalin, Mussolinis of the world. They had very strong censorship, very strong restrictions on speech. That's one of the signs that they are the bad guys. And so, in fact, a restriction on speech and large government is fundamentally fascist, obviously. So ironically, in pushing for censorship, it makes it very clear that the left is the side that is against freedom, and freedom of speech is simply one of many freedoms that we should have as a civil society, because ideas should win on the strength of their arguments. They should not win because they are suppressed.
As extreme, some may call it, as Elon Musk's examples there, at the end of the day, there is a lot of validity to what he is saying. It is 100% true, the regimes that were mentioned. But I think people seem to forget the way in which you are sold an idea, no matter how good or harmful, slowly. People in Germany back in the day, if they had known exactly what was going to be the outcome, I'm willing to bet the vast majority of them would have said, that's insane, let's get rid of this guy. But do you want to know how it worked? It worked by slow dripping this idea, by mass media spinning the same idea. You get this weird confirmation bias, you get this weird overindulgence of information and news that prevents you from even wanting to question anything because you think you know the full story. That's why they always put these things out on full blast. When there's a bad story about conservatives, it's never just one story. It's never just one opinion piece, right? Think about that. When something bad happens in the Liberal Party, it's more often than not covered up, gone out of the news cycle within a day or two. We literally just had an experience with Chris d'Entremont leaving cabinet and crossing the floor to the Liberals that they talked about for almost 3 weeks. Why do they do that? Because they really have to drill into you what they want to drill into you. Stephen Guilbeault left Carney's cabinet. That was talked about at length for about a day, usually actually quite favorably. And now it doesn't really get mentioned at all.
Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes, it is.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher if you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in internet, it stays there.
And then somebody else reposts it or likes it. Are they committing a crime?
Yeah, in the case of reposting, it is a crime as well, because the reader can't distinguish whether you just invented this or just reposted it. That's the same for us.
I think that we all need to remember that our rights to really just exist at the end of the day, to exist, to learn, to engage in debate, to have our feelings hurt sometimes, because welcome to life. That doesn't collapse overnight with like this one dramatic moment. It is usually historically years and years and years of slow collapse, slow movements to eventually get to the ultimate end goal. And it's always through friendly language, through moral grandstanding framing, and the promise of safety and protection. Literally every single regime in human history who has censored their public, which almost every single, I shouldn't even say almost, which every single time has led to absolute disaster amongst their people, has used the exact same vocabulary, that they're doing this to protect the vulnerable. They want to reduce harm. They're stopping the spread of misinformation. We're trying to keep people safe. We want to regulate radical behavior. And for that, I think that it's pretty obvious the left has absolutely mastered that tactic. We are seeing that play out right now. And when you see things like Bill C-9 being debated when it comes to religious exemption as a deal with the bloc.
Religious exemptions. There are people that are getting awarded money because they were religious people. They were not trying to grift or exploit COVID in order to not get vaccinated. There were people that legitimately wanted to have religious freedoms, and they did get religious. They got approval from like their religious leaders and things like that, and this was denied. And this is like what I mean by just like not having people within key positions that at least even believe in God. And so I talked about this yesterday as well, and they're talking about censoring the Bible and other religious texts, censoring the Bible as in like certain passages of it, and I think that is very dangerous. It's also like unlawful, unconstitutional, etc. But again, like Canada was built off of Christian values and culture largely, and even the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution in the U.S. as well. The founding fathers that created those incredible documents, they believed in God and largely a Protestant. They were Christians, largely Protestant with varying degrees of Catholics, and but all believed in God and all Christian. And the same thing with Canada. And so it's just very interesting just how far we've fallen. And if you do end up censoring passages out of the Bible, the Christian Bible, like what's that going to mean for the Bible itself, right? Is this going to be something that's going to be banned in schools as well? Like even to have it there, and it's just so infuriating. And so I understand, I do, limiting, opposing values and cultural norms and religious norms, I would say belief systems that are incompatible with Canadian culture and religion, its foundations, and it's just it's causing societal collapse, and it's promoting deviancy also, and we're allowing deviance. And what deviance, that's not meant as to slander anyone. What I mean is like there's like normal and abnormal behaviors that are accepted within societies. All right. And so like, for example, like there are people that are being emboldened to walk around the streets, including around children, fully naked or wearing fetish gear and gag balls and all of this stuff, totally acceptable. But again, to hold a Bible or to wear a cross, again, like that is seen as more perverted and deviant, and it causes more offense and elicits more of an emotional response in people. I don't understand why, but that's just where we're living, right? Where people are fully allowed to have sexualized books in elementary schools, talking about giving blowjobs to adults, all this disgusting stuff, and sex toys and stuff like that. Where there's even links to some books that were in schools where they can go on and purchase said sex toys. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but this is allowed. This is fully and emboldened and enforced by people like Catherine McKenna, etc. and Neely Kaplan Murr and the Vera Etches, Patty Haju types, these literal deviants of society that have no moral code. These are the toxic feminists I'm talking about. And trans hour within schools as well, drag hour and stuff like that. But again, like these are all like do whatever you want as an adult, as long as you're not impacting other people, in negative or criminal ways, or grooming or indoctrinating our youth. When they don't understand right and wrong. If you're introducing them to something that is deviant, and you're normalizing it, and it's being introduced to them again when they don't have a good or a grasp or understanding of the world, and you're normalizing deviant behavior, that's what they consider to be normal. And so I hope I'm making sense with that. Again, it's been a long morning, and I haven't had a lot of coffee. And but again, what we're willing to accept and tolerate, and what we're censoring is it's leading to societal decay and destruction. OnlyFans, porn. These are all women that are again, these are the, how men at the extremes, they're like more largely overrepresented for like the more aggressive, severe behaviors and crimes, like the larger percentage of psychopaths, rapists, murderers, violent, aggression and fights and things like that, physicality. Women exploiting or utilizing sex and their looks, and again, and just what comes with that. I don't know. It's a slippery slope. Anyways, I'm going to get into the 15-minute mark here because she gets into some really good points.
Dehumanize and shame the people who disagree with you, which is a fundamental aspect of democracy, by the way. There are multiple spirits inside of you. Being very inconsistent in your message, your beliefs, there is something that's deeper that you don't even recognize, because if you did, you would know that you actually don't have a standard set of morals and values driving you. When everything is situational, when everything is victim or oppressor, when you only get angry when something happens by or to a person of whom you disagree with, there is something very, very deeply disturbed in your soul. And I pray for you. I mean that. Yep. And I am so tired of this narrative going around when it comes to men. Yep. In particular. And I want you to just take a listen to some of what Rachel has to share in committee.
And it was titled, quote, "Trying to Talk White Male Teenagers Off the Alt-Right Ledge and Other Impacts of Masculinist Influencers on Teachers." The researchers used data collected from the teachers subreddit community on reddit.com to dig into how those users described.
She didn't say anything about that teacher in Ontario, the province I'm living in, that had those large fake breasts that he was wearing to school, teaching a bunch of teenagers. Disgusting. Some kind of whatever class he was teaching. I don't know if it was like woodwork or, well, anyways, one of those classes, I think. Prosthetic, huge boobs, but then he also had the areolas and the nipples also in that. Like what the heck? And anyways, didn't call that out.
Influences of a resurging misogyny on the jobs of teachers and in the classrooms. It turns out teachers are being bombarded with the rhetoric these kids are learning from the worst men on the internet.
She highlighted in the beginning there that the basis of her entire testimony is around a Reddit thread. Yes, you heard that right. It's not a national data set. Nothing like that. It's not a classroom audit, multi-school survey. It was a case study from a Reddit thread, which I guess is now credible evidence in Parliament. Alrighty. And the thing about that that's even just more absurd is the fact that literally anybody can post anything on Reddit. There could be people who aren't teachers who are just posting crazy stuff for the engagement, the reaction. They want to see what people are going to say, right? And if it is teachers, it's teachers who are posting anonymously. There's no cross-referenced behavioral data. There's no peer review, nothing like that. It's literally Reddit. Nonetheless, though, here's what she says she learned from that Reddit thread.
The reason that I wanted to share this study and these anecdotes is because it gave me a very chilling, overarching realization, which is that these testimonies from teachers are akin to if you were standing on a beach and the water suddenly receded very quickly and very significantly. When that happens, it's an early warning sign of a tsunami. And that's how I felt about that study. Because these boys are young right now. They're saying and doing these things in classrooms, but they're going to grow up and they're going to bring these ideologies into the broader world. That's why I am so glad that you're studying this issue of anti-feminist ideology, as thanks to a confluence of factors, including the advent of social media, incompetent moderation from tech giants, and manosphere influencers' creation of soft entry points for a more radical ideology. Academics I've spoken to have said that anti-feminist ideology is experiencing a resurgence because, unfortunately, it is nothing new.
You know what was so noticeably absent from all of that, though? There was no acknowledgement of why boys may be acting out, if those anecdotes are even true. There's no even casual analysis of fatherlessness, declining literacy in boys, declining male graduation rates, social isolation among boys, telling boys that they can't be boys, telling boys that they should be ashamed of who they are because they're toxic, because they exist, because I had a bad experience with a boy once upon a time. There is no analysis about economic hopelessness, about not being able to get ahead no matter how hard you work. You just do not get ahead because the government prioritizes everybody except for you. There is no analysis about the chronic underfunding that men have with male mental health supports. There is nothing at all about men and why it is that this is happening in the first place, because why would there be? Rachel's analysis is so much more emotionally satisfying and politically useful to the liberals who invited her to come and testify at committee about anti-feminism. But do you want to know what made me feel the most sick to my stomach about this? Is that during this testimony, I'm not going to play it because we're running short on time and also who wants to listen to that, she made herself not the issue, the center of the story. She started talking about her own critics, her own online experience, losing her job, conflicts that she's had, harassment. That is so unbelievably strategic to frame yourself as a victim so that you, A, demand moral authority, B, preemptively invalidate dissent, which you can then frame any criticism as hate if you wanted to, and also try to build emotional justification for censorship. And so the conversation becomes, how do we protect women from hateful men, instead of how do we help boys who are clearly in crisis, who clearly need community, who clearly feel silenced and like they do not matter and like they are not heard. That's what the topic becomes. Oh, it's all about me, and this oppressor man who's just oppressing me, even though in every breath here, I have just been shaming him and criticizing him and being so cruel to men that I don't even know. Because why? They're a man. I don't know about you. That sounds pretty freaking sexist to me. It is disgusting. And she should be very ashamed of herself for continuing to engage in that sort of lack of self-awareness behavior. What about the fact that 4 out of 5 suicides are men who are typically under the age of 35, by the way? That's not a culture war statistic. That is a human crisis. Yet Rachel Gilmore has the audacity to point her fingers at manosphere influencers instead of asking the most relevant question, which is when up to 85% of suicides across all Western countries are men, what on earth is modern society doing to our boys that is systemically stripping young men of their purpose, their hope, their dignity, and their voice? So why don't we just cut the shit and tell the truth, which is that we have failed our men. And there's so many examples of this. Like, boys are falling behind in every single academic category. Masculine identity has become this big stigma that everybody's ashamed of or tries to shame you for. Young men feel unwanted and purposeless. Social media overwhelmingly shames men. Rachel's own platforms do this very regularly. Male loneliness is a total epidemic. Many boys have no fathers present or no positive male role models in their lives. And schools are also built for female learning styles. But the solution is always the exact same, isn't it? Instead of addressing those, instead of reminding our men that we love you, and we need you. And I don't care if I've never met you before. I love you. I see you and I hear you. And I really freaking hope that one of these days I can talk about this and it doesn't make me instantly cry. But, you know, to pretend to be confused by the outcome that people like Gilmore use her entire platform to promote is just beyond me. This is not a story about extremism. Boys are not dangerous. Influencers are not villains. The government doesn't need to step in to police thought, speech, and masculinity. And if you think they do, I don't know, have you ever heard of a mute or block button?
Yeah, exactly.
This is really just a story of a society that refuses to face the real crisis, which is that our boys are lost. And the best the government can offer is to deplatform them, to censor them. We need counter messaging on social media about male extremism.
Yeah.
What exactly is that counter messaging going to entail?
For example, and they're still pushing this, like working out, having more conservative traditional values is seen as being like a radical, things like that. It's so confusing and frustrating. And Jasmine Lane, I don't know if you guys know it, but like she actually was dating someone. I don't know if when he committed suicide or not, but he was a serving member. He was in the military, and he killed himself. And I know people that have done the same thing, and it really frustrates me when you have people like she's talking about that just say the most disgusting, completely ignorant things, and again, it's pushing again like the same agenda, and and so I think that she's just a very ignorant, disgusting human being, and I really do like what Jasmine Lane is saying, that she's calling her out on this.
If the feminazis are still going to be going off about the rhetoric that they have, is the counter messaging going to continue to be about how bad and toxic men are? Is that what the counter messaging is? I don't think that's going to go very well, actually. I don't. And I don't think the government wants to actually address, or politicians and activists want to actually address the counter messaging that is needed, which is men are our safety. They're our keepers. They're the first person you call when you have a flat tire on the side of the highway, and they will show up way faster than if you tried to call your mom. At least that's my experience in my family. The ladies are always late. The men are always on time. That was a joke. But the real counter messaging is that men, you matter a lot. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my dad, as an example. Rachel Gilmore wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a man. You matter. You mean something. You are an integral part of our society. The world is pitted against you.
It is now.
And that is absolute garbage that needs to change. There is hope. We are going to work together to help you find it. You need community. You need positive male role models. Divorce culture is probably bad for most young kids. You are not toxic. Love is important. Family is important. You should try to make sure that you're having a child with somebody who you love and want to have a family with.
Yeah.
Being a breadwinner is something that
I'd probably skip having a family with Rachel.
You purpose and meaning in your life naturally, intrinsically. There's nothing wrong with that at all. To be successful and driven, to want to support your family, protect your family and the people close to you, that is almost like your moral obligation. And it seems it is the most natural place in the hierarchy for a man to be, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, statistically, we are much happier as a society when those roles are very clear. Not quite sure what this whole anti-feminist council is trying to do to destroy that, but I'm pretty damn sure it's going to be really bad. And so the problem there is that I don't think any of these activists want to actually address those things. I don't think that they want to get to the bottom of it and start treating men in their lives appropriately or accordingly. I don't think they want that at all, because if you have nobody else to blame for why your life isn't great, well, that kind of ruins the whole plot, doesn't it? And that's not to say that there aren't bad men out there, just as there are bad women out there. Yep, there are people who aren't great, who are mean, who are cruel, who do evil, nasty things, but they do not represent an entire population. And they certainly should not be the cause for trying to emasculate and ostracize an entire gender just to fit your narrative. That is insane. These are the consequences of that. If you don't want men to be radicalized and going to people like Andrew Tate, maybe you could be nice to them. Maybe you could remind them that we need you. I have so much more to say on this topic, but we are way over time, so I will.
Yeah, I really like that. And I do agree with everything she's saying. Having worked in the industry that I worked in, it was largely men. It's a hard friggin' job. And not just in the military, obviously, but like with like other contracts I've done with like so many different government departments, like with law enforcement and with the fire department, like all of these different agencies, CSIS, CBSA, Global Affairs Canada, et cetera, et cetera. I've worked with incredible people, largely men, and construction as well. People in my family are farmers, fishermen. Like even my uncle being like a fisherman now, it's like at least 27 years, and then a brother-in-law in the construction business, hard work, and they're getting shit on. Like these guys are doing so much for this friggin' country and generations of families that have built this country into what it is now, and absolutely getting just shit on, just completely shit on it, and people like not wanting to have like the same quality of men be turned up like as we had in the past. And even with the military, because again I have more exposure with that, but like I like the people I worked with, largely men, hero, incredible human beings, sacrificed so much for this country. Including their lives. And then you have people like Rachel that are just shitting on people like that. It's just so frustrating. But anyways, I'm okay. I just get a little emotional sometimes. It's part of having complex PTSD. Sometimes when I do get triggered, like I do get a little bit more emotional, but I'm able to obviously get myself out of it faster. And but anyways, it's just frustrating that this stuff happens. And we have, and again, there's so many people within cabinet too that are sharing the same message. And it is what it is. I did want to end on a positive note. And so I will say that there are a lot more people that are waking up and that are brave enough to actually address this in a professional way. And I think that's literally the only way. Knowledge is power. Giving this information to people, you know, in order to get them to investigate it as well, put more pressure on that way. I think this is the only way ahead. Just keep on exposing it. And yeah. So anyways, it's a nice day out. I will be meeting a friend at the gym soon. So on that note, I will leave it at that. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.